Parsons, who's
Justin Ramsden, designer at LEGO, and Arthur Parsons of TT Games.
Just in case you forgot. I forget.
Yeah. So, let's answer your questions.
So having a jacket, or Kurt as a resource, how amazing was that?
that was super cool, and it came about from just a phone call. We were on the phone because I probably speak to Bill once, twice a week, and we were talking about, this was way back in the early days, we were talking about the story, and we wanted to write a story that was inspired by Avengers Forever and the Kang Dynasty, two of the best Kang-related comic arcs there are. And we were chatting, it'd be great to get a comic book writer involved, and who should we do? And we were around for ages and then Bill just went, we should probably just ask Kurt. I was like, we probably should. It was just like that sort of like light bulb moment that we'd just kind of not even thought about. Got in touch with Kurt, and Kurt's like, yeah, cool. I love Kang. I love everything about the story of Kang. I can Kang you till the end of time. And it was great. So obviously writing what we wanted to do in terms of, we want this great adventure. We want to visit these locations with these characters and do these cool things. And then for Kurt to help mold that and give it that almost that rubber stamp of Marvel authenticity. This is an authentic Kang story. This is, Vona is authentic, Terminatrix is authentic, and everything else in between, Forever Crystals and Nexus Fragments, etc. Super cool. So yeah, it was great. I'm a big fan of Kurt as well.
Do you have a favourite character that was added for this entry of the series?
There are probably too many. I don't know if you'll agree, Justin, because obviously Justin has to look at them as if they were to be made as real toys. Spider-Ham is super cool. I don't quite know how that's obviously a new element, but
but it's Lego legal, you can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I like quirky characters. I like things like Forbushman. I like Throg. I like Cosmo. He's not really. He's more mainstream, and as is Lockjaw. But I like the weird and wacky and wonderful characters. Hellcow, for example, which is just like an awesome character. I kind of like those as well as the your She-Hulks and your Miss Marvels and everything else. But the weird and wacky are where there's most fun to be had, because that is bringing a character from nothingness into the forefront of people's minds, really, because kids are playing this, and some kids won't even know who Howard the Duck is, still, even though he's had a resurgence thanks to Lego Marvel Super 1 and not James Gunn. But yeah, bringing these characters in, people are then going to be able to see them and play them, and then experience why they're great.
What's the process for deciding on which characters to bring into the game?
Well, we were just talking about that just before. There's probably like 10 different things that kind of influence that. Obviously, you've got the story we want to tell is super important. The play materials that Justin and his team in Billund are looking at making is also really important from our standpoint, because we want to make sure they are in the game. We don't want people to go and buy a playset and not be able to experience that digitally, and vice versa. We want that crossover. We have the ones that just randomly we want in the game because we're fans. Bill is the world's worst for phoning me up and adding characters. Because he'll go to like an editorial summit, this is going to be this really cool thing in the comics, and this character's going to do this and this and this. Can we get this guy in the game? It's like, Bill kind of finished. It's like, we called time on the numbers, and he's like, come on, please. And it's like, okay, all right, I'll go and just pull some favours from my hard-working character team and animation team, and then we get someone else added and someone else added. So there's loads. Social media is a great one. I probably got asked for Dark Hawk about 9 million times, bizarrely. I get asked for so many characters, and then some people they'll ask me about a character, and it's like really out there, as though it's like the most mainstream. It's like they're asking for Iron Man, this character that no one has heard of, and they want this one. So yeah, we get asked by all sorts. And then we also do research. I actually got to read more comics on this game than ever before, learning about Egyptian Avengers, medieval English Avengers. There's cool stuff in this game.
So, on the end of adding characters, are there any planned additional character packs for this game, or not yet?
Yeah. It's, again, obviously Marvel is cool. Everything in Marvel's cool. Comics, TV series, movies, everything. So we've got a game that we're pretty much just wrapped up, and we've got a season pass planned, which we just started work on. We've done 3 character packs that are available at launch. So there's the Retro Guardians. So if anyone knows the Guardians before they were famous, you've got, Charlie 27 and Martin X and Proper Yondu and some other characters. We've also got an Out of Time pack which has cool variants of characters. There's Hulk 2099, Iron Man 2020. Just trying to remember, there's a few others in there. They might be main game. There's about 8 in there. Agents of Atlas, if you know Agents of Atlas, Gorilla Man, a few other characters. And then the kind of meat of the season pass is there's 6 level packs. There's one inspired by Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is the first one that we out, which is incredible. There is one that's inspired by Black Panther. There's one that's inspired by Infinity War. One that's inspired by Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then there's also a Runaways and Cloak and Dagger pack. But no one knows that information yet. You're the first to know. I've had to keep really quiet about that for ages, but apparently I'm allowed to talk about everything now, which is good. And there's a Champions character pack as well.
In the design aspect, what parts are from fan feedback that you included in the sequel?
Lots. I don't think people really. I don't know. You guys probably do the same, right? When we release something, when we release a game, we will go through every review, every forum, every moan, groan, gripe, every bit of praise, every YouTube video, every comment on YouTube videos, and we go through all of that information. We also have some great statistics that come through from surveys that we do, that our colleagues at LEGO do, and we analyse everything that people say that's good, bad, indifferent, and we try and address it. While yes, I might just get someone that just tweets me and goes, hey, can we just do this? It's like, well, that's one way, but we also see the stuff that people don't necessarily think we'll see. When people are on Reddit and there's just loads of information there, we'll go through, we analyse everything, and then we look at it and go, right, here's a game that we want to make. Let's just make sure that that's the game that people are going to want to pay their hard-earned money for and play. So I don't think there's any element of the game that hasn't been affected by what fans of the game want. Probably the thing that's been most affected is probably the open world and the customizer, because we've had customizers before, and you'll stick Iron Man's helmet on, and that's what gives your character you've made Iron Man's abilities. And it's like, well, they don't want to do that. They want to have full customization. So now that's what we've done from the ground up. I can put Spider-Man's head on, and I can change the colour to be pink, and I can put green hair on and a cape, and then I can make him have an ice beam out of his eyes, and he can hold a big axe in one hand and a sword in the other hand that shoots repulsor beams, and it just goes crazy. And that's come from fan feedback, because they're the characters that people want to create. They want to experience our story, enjoy everything we've given them, and then when they finish that, keep playing, but with their own creations. So there's a lot of work gone into that.
Is there any Marvel storylines you would like to see in the game that's not in the game?
There's one, but I can't say because I'm still talking to Bill about that. Because we may well just shoot on that in, if we find time next year sometime. But no, not really. So myself and the design team read comics as much as we can. And so we are reading pretty much everything, just to make sure that everything's relevant. So even stuff that, I try and be knowledgeable about most things, but obviously when it comes to things like Runaways and Cloak and Dagger, that's not my thing as much, so I'm enjoying reading up about those. A couple of my team are doing the same. go, no, we want to chuck everything in there. You know, you look at Thor Ragnarok, I look at that and think it's inspired by Planet Hulk. We have got Planet Hulk inspired level in the game, which is cool. You turn up in Sakaar, there are 4 or 5 Hulks there from different time periods, and you have to save Hulk. You have to take off his power disc and then fight the Red King and other stuff, and then basically bring Hulk back into the fold so you can go off and do something else. It's cool. There's so many things, and I think as people play the game, they'll see these little nods to all these storylines from TV.
Between all the movies and the comics and the TV shows, is it difficult to balance expectations when you're Legoizing characters from all these different materials? Balancing expectations from fans?
I mean, all the characters that are designed for the game are designed in the way that you can sort of, if we were to produce them as Lego for minifigures, then you could do that. So they've all been stylized in the Lego way, the most accurate way as well.
I mean, in personality-wise.
Oh, in personality-wise.
Yeah, well, personality is what makes the Lego games what they are. You know, I think you can take anything, and if you put that into a minifigure, it looks cool. Like, there is something adorable and collectible about any minifigure. And so for me, it doesn't matter. If you've got, like, some pretty serious bad guys in there, you know, someone, I don't know, like Ronin's pretty bad, or you've got Blade, he's pretty bad, but they still look really cool as a minifigure. And that's the great thing. A Lego video game gives us the ability to take anything, shrink it down into something that is just incredibly, you know, I need to have minifigures sometimes. I have loads, but I always see a new one, and it's like, I've got to have this one. Like Baby Groot and Ravager one, I had to have that. I had to have that set just to have the alternate version of Baby Groot. But we can shrink these down into minifigures, put them in the game, and then bring them to life however we want. And that's the great thing about it. You'll play StarLord, and you'll have an expectation level. You'll expect him to be kind of cool and almost like a bit kind of like no holds barred. He doesn't really plan anything, just like I'll go straight into action and all that. So we'll give you that, but then we'll also give you the personality of he can put his mixtape on and he can listen to Mr. Blue Sky, he can listen to Redbone, he can throw Gravity Mines and all the rest of it. But we'll do that for everyone. So even someone you don't really know, like King Arthur Pendragon, or Nathan Garrett Black Knight, or Spider-Ham, or some of the more obscure people like Throg, they will all have their own personality, and they'll all give you something as you play. So if you know that character and you're a fan of them, you'll be like, I can't believe they've done whatever it is. We want to make sure that every character has personality. You know, just like the physical toy has personality. When if you've got it, you imagine there's a personality in that toy. Or I always do. Maybe I'm just a little bit crazy, but you kind of imagine how that character would move and talk and act and what they would do. And it goes back to sitting in the like 70s and early 80s with all my Lego on the floor, playing out scenes and doing things in my head. It's about imagination, but we're kind of imagining for people, I guess.
How hard was it to get the licenses for the music that's in the game, especially for StarLord?
It's not, I don't think it's necessarily hard. It's more a case of us identifying what music we want. You could sit there and go, you know what, James Gunn's done all our work for us. Let's just get all of that soundtrack, and all that. But it's about how you use the music. I find in video games, I find you can do an awful lot more with original compositions. You know, that kind of are thematic. Yes, if you've got a specific theme that you want, it's gonna strike a certain vibe. So we open the game with Redbone. It gives it that instant vibe of like, yeah, okay, I'm in there. This is cool. And then occasionally we throw in the odd like riff from something licensed throughout the game. But if you've got a level, for example, where you want it to be a little bit spooky at first, and then you want a kind of a high-tempo action-packed sequence, and then you want something a little bit light-hearted, and then you want to really like hit people hard with a boss fight, you can't kind of get that with a licensed track. You've got to go and get original composition, bring in a big orchestra,
this may be a long shot, but will we see Hail Hydra Captain America in the game?
Just trying to run through who we've got. There's a whole section of the game that takes place in the Hydra Empire, which is obviously, as you know, Manhattan if Hydra won. I'm just working through who's in there. Task Force, Bowman, a few other. I can't remember off the top of my head. You have to wait and play it. I'm still There's that many characters. I can't remember who we have talked about and who we haven't. But there is an awesome section in the story there, and there's also a really awesome Gwenpool mission in that same kind of Hydra like time period, which is really funny. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that.
And also, what was your reaction when you first saw Captain America going Hydra?
I kind of expected it. You know, it's one of those things. It's like, where can they go next? It's like, okay, yeah, I can see that. And it's good. I like those constant twists and turns in comics. It keeps it exciting and interesting. And I like seeing where things are going to go next. So that was a good one.
So Kurt was saying that he came into this with little to no experience in video games, especially. So he was also saying that he was coming at you with all kinds of ideas that you were kind of like, all right, we've never tried that, but can you think of anything really that he brought that is something new to the Lego video games?
So he brought. We were saying before on the other table, like time travel itself and explaining time travel and trying to make that understandable to potentially someone who is playing their first ever video game, that's hard. Time travel is, as someone who watches Doctor Who, it's difficult to get your head around sometimes. But what Kurt has brought is kind of a way of telling stories that we don't normally have in Lego games. Normally we'll, what do we want to do? Okay, yeah, we're going to do this thing where all the bad guys are there and they've all escaped from somewhere and we're going to track them down, and then right at the very end they're all going to team up and do this thing. That isn't a great story. What Kurt brought is a really strong story that has twists and turns and unexpected things. And in this particular story, there are a couple of unexpected events that kind of throw things on their head, and it's like playing a comic. That's how cool it is. Something I absolutely adore about some of Kurt's comics. When you go to the next next book, you have that kind of almost flashback moment of meanwhile, or while you're away, this was occurring, and then you're just shooting from one bit to another. And so that's where the non-linear story came from. Is you've got this start and end, but in the middle, can we let people kind of do their own thing? Can I go to Wakanda and do that bit, or could I go here and do that bit? It's like, yeah, they could, but we'll keep the story running through and keep the threads active, and also have those kind of almost red herrings. I'm going here for a reason. Oh no, didn't really need to do that. We're going to go here, and the way that you bring characters in and out is something that we didn't have. And I think Kurt's brought that to us, and also a cool twist at the end of the story, which it's not a Sixth Sense moment, but it's a very, very cool twist that I think people are going to be, as they're kind of playing the game, they won't be expecting it, and then there's just this awesome twist, and then everything gets turned on its head, and then it kind of makes sense with a bit in the post credits and some other stuff. It's just great. It's great to have a brilliant storyteller work with us to really make the best story we possibly can. And I think, if I'm honest, as much as I enjoyed making Lego Marvel Superheroes, and as much as I think most people enjoyed playing it, the story could have been stronger, and bringing Kurt in kind of reinforces moving Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 forward in every area, if that makes sense.
You talked a little bit about the style and the personality of the characters. Obviously, Telltale has very distinct style with a lot of their games. How do you feel that the Lego games fit in to the Telltale universe, and how different it is? Is that a struggle for the team?
I had this on Twitch yesterday. Traveller's Tales, Telltale, we're different. Telltale are super narrative, Walking Dead and everything else, and we're all Lego games. So I'll dodge that one.
So after doing the first Lego Marvel Superheroes, you guys then went and did Lego Avengers.
Yep.
Why did you guys decide to then go back and do Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 instead of continuing the Avengers line or, doing, I don't know, Lego Guardians of the Galaxy or something?
So when we finished Lego Marvel Superheroes, we always wanted to make Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. There is a post-credit scene right at the end where you've just saved the world and Nick Fury's there and you're all in front of the Statue of Liberty, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy rock up, and that was before Guardians of the Galaxy the movie as well, so before the Guardians were famous they rocked up, and then so Nick Fury's like, what are you here for? You're too late, and StarLord says that's not why we're here, there's something else, because we knew where we wanted to go with the game. And then we made Lego Marvel's Avengers, just because there was a great opportunity to make that game based on the cinematic universe. But we always knew we'd come back to Lego Marvel Superheroes because there is an unfinished story. And I think when people get to the end of this game and they see post-credits, they can kind of make their own minds up about where it finishes.
Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 clearly draws from both comic books and the MCU, which have very different personalities to them. How do you find the balance between the two?
I think that's where Justin's employer comes in. Lego is that middling thing. It's everything in Lego is fun and entertaining, and so you can have your movie, you can have your classic comic book. But the minute that you bring them into that one style, which is what Lego allows us, everything's the same. And I think that's where you've got Peter Parker, Spider-Man, you've got Spider-Man Homecoming, and then you bring that in with someone like Spider-Man Noir, and you kind of bring that in with some awesome sort of Spider-Gwen. That's all the same all of a sudden. And it's almost like a stylistic thing. Lego to me says fun. Lego to me says immersion, and it also says to me authenticity, and those three things are what we do with the video game and the same with the play materials, and I think it is that leveler. You can have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff right alongside classic Kirby stuff, right alongside future movie stuff, because it all makes sense, it's all in that one gorgeous universe.
And that's the great thing, add on to that, that's the great thing that TT does, is it's much like playing with Lego. You can pour out all the Lego on the floor and you can just put random bits together. It doesn't need to fully make sense because it's an MCU or comic. It just works.
Yeah, it is that thing, and you'll see when you play the game, StarLord is actually in his MCU outfit, but it doesn't mean that he's just MCU StarLord, because he has the personality of StarLord from comics pre-Guardians and post-Guardians, as well as from the movies. So, and most of the characters have nods to everything, assuming that they're characters that have got sort of appearances in everything.
If this game were to come off of PC, would it be any mod support?
The first game came out for PC, right? And you think it's no one's going to do anything to it, but somehow people were putting their own textures in, making their own characters and doing their own thing, and which is great and weird and wonderful. But from us personally, we don't necessarily support it from the modding community. I don't know why not. Probably because we don't expect it to be mod. Don't forget our target audience is 6 to 12-year-olds, and if those guys are into modding, then someone from NASA or someone needs to probably sign them up.
Did you find developing for Switch any different because it's inherently can have a co-op experience with the two Joy-Cons? Or any other reason?
Well, Switch is awesome because, and I was saying this before, I'm a massive advocate of the Switch. I love the Switch. The fact I can play real console games on the go is amazing, and the fact that I can do work on the go is amazing because I can actually review content and play content on the go. But the Switch to me, there's not enough games that allow you to play them in multiplayer out of the box. Yes, I can play Mario Kart, but a lot of games, I need to go and pay $80 for an extra pair of Joy-Cons or a Pro Controller or whatever. So we, at the very start, said, right, no, we all love the Switch because there's a few of us who do. We need to make this so you can play with just a single Joy-Con. So you can play two-player with just the Switch as it comes. So if someone's bought a Switch at Christmas and Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, they can play it co-op, just one little tiny Joy-Con each, which is really cool. And which you might think, well, hold on, that's really small, and in my big adult hands that aren't like child's hands, is that going to work? It's really comfortable, and it is. It kind of takes me back a little bit to when I was a kid playing video games with, I know SNES and Mega Drives, the controls weren't that small, but it's that cool simplicity of there's not very many buttons, but I can do everything I want with the characters I want on the screen. So the Switch version is actually awesome, and no different to the PS4.
Will the season pass still also come to the Switch as well? Okay.
Yep. Any other questions, anyone?
You're still having fun?
I can't believe you two are quiet. You guys are never quiet.
Everybody's asking her.
Yeah, that was actually, I was about to ask that question.
Oh yeah,
about the Switch.
No, because the Switch is just. I think a lot of people thought that the Switch wasn't as powerful as it was. It is actually such a powerful machine. We are playing the game exactly as it is. This huge open world of Chronopolis, 200 plus characters, doing everything you want. The load times are just like non-existent. You just like quickly switching between characters, everything you want. Full customization still there. And you can take it on the go.
I think it's really important how you were saying, like, there are like no games aside from like Mario Kart that let you do that with just the little controllers. So like when you're going,
Cliff does, which is an awesome game.
It's so much fun.
Lego City.
We're going to wrap up, so you want a final question? And also, here you go.
What are the special features for the Switch version? Like, can you link up like 4 of them for a multiplayer or something like that?
No, we didn't get round to that. So there is a 4-player multiplayer mode in the game, Battle Arena mode, or Grandmaster mode as we've called it. But that is not. You can't link up 4 Switches. I don't think we had the machines long enough to be able to figure that out. But the 4-player mode is there, and that's on all formats. And in case you didn't know, the game's out November 14th. So hopefully